Hi folks, with Tacitus today, Tacitus Radio Pushback Channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the number of stories, and it's ramping up amongst the globalist controlled media, that's highlighting or attempting to highlight, using lots of pathos, the plight of Africans caught up in areas where there's civil war and various forms of strife there. Now, instead of doing an informed, well-balanced article, again, this is one of the biggest media outlets in Australia, and headlining, it's a headline item for them, is the so-called or the alleged plight of these people in Africa. Now, they highlight the women and the children. So, and the style of writing isn't, or the style of journalism, I mean, if you can call it journalism, isn't to sort of discuss the issues and bring the facts out and just to indicate how nuanced the situation might be. Instead, it goes the other way, and it just delivers absolute huge doses of pathos. And it goes like this, because it's an Arabic area of Africa, or Islamic area of Africa. Tiny little Sula, her tiny little hands reach out for her mother, Fatima. Fatima has dreamed of going to a rich first world country and living a life of luxury. No, I don't say that. Dreamed of going to a first world country where she will be safe in the first world country and get lots of freebies. Now, what they don't say is that Fatima is an illiterate rural peasant. What's Fatima exactly going to do when it comes to a first world country? Why would Fatima be needed? Forget about it. This is a humanitarian issue. It's nothing to do with whether Fatima will be a useful contributing citizen. Irrelevant. The issue here is humanitarian, and Fatima must be taken somewhere safe, and the only safe place in the whole universe is rich white countries. That only place. There's nowhere else. Fatima has always dreamed of going to a rich white country, so that's done. Settled, sealed, signed, delivered. But there's a safe refugee camp nearby. No, that won't do. Well, there's other countries nearby that aren't in a state of warfare. She'll be safe there, and they're Islamic. They speak her language. No. She has a completely foreign country. We have a completely different language, religions, customs, and so on. She has to get only a rich white country will do to ensure Fatima's safety, and the safety, of course, of little Sula, who, by the way, is dressed in pink. So that's it. Now, we're just supposed to accept that. The only safe place is a rich white country, and the white countries are obligated to do it. But with the rise of white supremacy and fascism, the recent elections have shown that Nazis are on the march. And this means that illiterate third world peasants can't go to rich white countries. What exactly does that mean? Well, don't just infer it. As long as you can mention fascist in there somewhere, who cares? So why am I not moved by a story like this, apart from it's probably invented anyway, but this area of Africa has been in a state of civil war from at least 1840. That's not 1940, by the way. That's 1840. So it's been in a state of civil war for at least 200 years. And even the Roman emperors considered it just too much bother to send armies down there to quell unrest and to prevent. So it's always been an area of strife since 2,000 years ago. The Egyptian pharaohs despaired over this part of the wealth. It was in a constant state of warfare and drama and brigandry and so on and so forth. So again, we're going back probably 5,000 years. It's been a hotbed of drama and probably made worse by the spread of Islam in around 700 odd AD. But even so, it's it's not an area where that's calm and measured and so on. Now, because it's in a constant state of struggle, what do they do in civil wars? Well, and tribal warfare is they burn each other's crops, they kill each other's animals. They foul the water supplies. They put poison in the wells. They do everything they can to fuck each other up. And so it's rare, very rare in that part of the world, at least, that they're able to plant crops and bring them to harvest. And irrigation systems are being vandalized. And so it's an absolute mess, top to bottom. And it's never, it was briefly sort of well run when the British were there, but they decided it was too much of a headache and they quit the place. So it's never been in good shape. And now they don't mention that in this article. They make out as if it's some really bad shit just happened yesterday, and therefore these people are genuine refugees needing asylum in first world rich white countries. And they don't talk about how this has been an area of strife for years. And they don't talk about how many refugee camps the United Nations are running in nearby countries where these people can go and they can be safe, be fed, get water, get everything, and so on. Little Sula, who apparently at 2 years old, little Sula, has dreamed of being an astronaut. Yeah, sure she has. At 2 years old, and she wants to pursue her dreams in Australia, a rich white country, only a rich. She can't study. Astrophysics in the refugee camp, so it has to be a rich white country. The 2 year old, an illiterate 2 year old in a third world basket case country has dreamed of becoming an astronaut. So it's loaded with nonsense and pathos. Again, assuming these people even exist, I'm pretty confident that they've invented both Sula and Fatima here, but nonetheless. I think they're just generic characters they invent to try and push the pathos story, but nonetheless, so they should have, for a balance, to appeal to me, they need to talk about that it's been a hotbed of problems and dramas and warfare and so on for many hundreds, if not thousands of years. Need to talk about how these people do it to themselves, how they're the ones that go and burn each other's crops and kill each other's animals. That needs to be said, because the impression you get is that somehow the crops and the animals all died by magic, and therefore this is some natural disaster in the same way as I don't know, some sort of huge flood or plague of locusts or something. They portray it in that light, which it's not. This is all self-inflicted by these people upon themselves and upon each other. Why don't the United Nations troops intervene to stop that? Could they stop it? Why not? If any United Nations troops did intervene, that might be oppression of black people. So that could be an evil in itself. And maybe all the troops that intervene should be non-white. Where do you go with this exactly when you're trying to satisfy the wokerati? But they failed to describe. They failed to mention the nearby resources and facilities that people can go to, as in the refugee camps. They failed to mention the adjacent countries where they could stay and be safe. All of that they don't mean. They just ignore. Only rich white country is the way to keep these people safe. But because of the rise of the far right, these people may be condemned to this life. Fatima fears for little Sula. Little Sula cries when her mummy says that bad people with guns may come, and Fatima says, and Fatima cries when she says we might die. But no, stop. Then you go to the nearby refugee camp. So it's presented that Fatima and Sula are in mortal danger, assuming they exist. They may well be. It is an area of civil war, but the only solution is right now, today, this very minute, they have to come to a rich white country. Well, I say no. I say they should stay in the area and in a culture they're familiar with, in a language they're familiar with, a religion they're familiar with, and whether that's in a refugee camp or an adjacent country doesn't matter. And if the United Nations is so concerned about it, they can step up and provide, again, facilities for these people until the Civil War thing comes down. Now, the reality is that the Civil War is an on-again, off-again thing that's existed, I would suggest, for many hundreds of years, 1,000 years, more than 1,000 years. So this idea that there'll be some peaceful solution that will last sort of from now until it's an area of strife, and that's how it is there. this is not unique by any measure. Yeah, that's been the case there for many, many hundreds of years, thousands of years. But that's not expressed in the article. So why can't these people manage their own affairs? Why can't they manage to not burn each other's crops and kill each other's animals? Why don't they manage to just settle down and get on with life instead of this constant civil war? And that isn't discussed. So the article, which again, it's a headline article in the biggest media outlet in Australia, they fail to put the matters in proper perspective and context, instead, and try and push it or pitch it as a oppressed women and children's story, and that there's only one solution, which there isn't. There's multiple solutions and multiple thoughts. Again, the refugee camps in adjacent countries and so on. Now, so illiterate peasant Fatima and little Sula had to be brought at white people's expense to a rich white country. It's unlikely that Fatima will ever be a productive citizen. She'll be on benefits her whole life. I mean, the list just goes on. Then they're going to want to bring out another Islamic black dude from that part of Africa to be her husband when she grows up, because that's how things are done there. Very tribal. You can only marry someone from your village. So that'll be put in, and on it goes. So no, you don't want those people in a first world country, far from it. But they failed to do that in this article, and again presented very, very disingenuously as just protection for women and children, which it's not. You've been at Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.